upcoming retreat that you would like to make some kind of crafty gift for, whether that's for your table mates or for some friends, or maybe you have a local crafting group that you want to be doing a gift exchange with. Maybe you're just looking for ideas for ways to be creative with your gifts to others. If that's the case, stick around, because what I have got for you today is a cute, low cost, and versatile little idea that you can use in a whole lot of different ways, maybe even from supplies that you have right in your house right now. So hi, I am Deborah, and this is my channel, Kensington Cross Stitch, and it is so good to be with you for another video today. This really started from an idea that I got from another YouTuber a couple of months ago, and that is Kate from The Last Homely House. And what she did is she shared just a really short video leading up to the Christmas season about how you can make homemade Christmas crackers. So you may know Christmas crackers are those long, skinny paper tubes that you come out at Christmas time for so many of us, and you pull on them, and inside is a crown and a bad joke, and usually a couple of little different treats. And Kate's video showed us how to make homemade Christmas crackers. And I thought it was so fun. I did it. It was a complete hit with my family. Everybody loved it because you get to pick more of what's inside of it than what you buy in a store. And so as I was making those, I realized that this is an idea that can definitely be adapted for crafters and those of us who are thinking about ways we can maybe even use some of the supplies that we already have in our house, and ways that we can present them and give them to others. So that's what we're going to chat about today. So if you didn't see that other video, let me show you what I am talking about. It's a pretty simple idea. This is it. It is a little paper triangle that you can fit things in and then seal it up, and then you could give it away as a gift to somebody else. So it's like a piece of, it's almost like wrapping paper or a gift bag or one of those little nylon bags that people give out that hold supplies. But in this case, it just uses cute paper and maybe gives you a little more space than you might expect. So I'll get into that in a little while. And then in order to use it, you would just sort of rip across the top or one of the seams. And then inside you have all kinds of your treats. So like I said, cute, versatile, and low cost. So what I wanted to talk about today is 7 reasons that I think these are a great thing to consider as part of your future gift exchange or gifts for a crafty friend. All right, so let me tell you what I mean with that. First of all, they use very little supplies. You will use a sheet of paper, you'll need some glue, and maybe you'll need like a paper crimper. You could sew it if you want to, a pair of pinking shears, but even that is not actually necessary. So long as you've got some paper, something to cut it with, and some glue, that's all you need. So for many of us, that's something that supplies that we already have around the house. Next, they're really easy to make. So all you have to do is you need to get your piece of paper cut to the right size. Talk about that in a second. You start by gluing the 2 long ends together, and then you glue the 2 sides together. And I will link you to Kate's video, who will go into more details on this. But essentially what you do is, once you've gotten 2 of the sides glued together, you rotate it going the opposite direction, seal up the other side, and that's what creates your little triangle. So it is super easy to make. Definitely love that. And then they're also remarkably sizable. Like I said, you would be amazed how much can actually fit into these little triangles. I'm calling them triangle treats. That seems like something fun. But it is really easy and surprisingly efficient use of space for what you can fit inside one of these little triangles. The other thing that I really like about them is they're very easy to scale up and down in terms of size. So the triangles that Kate taught us how to do were this 6 inches by 12 inch piece of paper, and it made this kind of fairly substantially sized triangle. Those are the ones that I used for my Christmas gift. But it really is just a 2-to-1 ratio. One length has to be twice the length of the other. And so if you wanted to, you could make tiny little ones. This is a 3x6, for example, and it turns into just a cute little square. This one is made from a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper that I cut down to 5 by 10. If you wanted to get 2 sheets of paper out of it, or two triangles out of it, you could just cut it to 4 by 8. So really, so long as you're keeping that 2-to-1 ratio, you can go essentially as big as or as small as you want. So that is definitely something I really like, because in some cases you might be wanting to give a larger item or more items, and in some cases you really just want something cute to wrap up a little treat in. So definitely it's very adaptable. The next thing that I really like is you're using things that are very widely available. I had just some glue that I always have in the house for crafting purposes. I also have a stack of scrapbook paper that I've bought for other purposes. And because you're using, in many cases, only a part of the paper, you don't have to buy all that many. And there are so many cute patterns and designs that are related to specific holidays or themes. If you want to have space or flowers, any of those things, there is probably a piece of scrapbook paper that you like, or even just a regular piece of paper with a fun design on it. So something that you can adapt throughout the season for whatever purpose. And it might even be a stash buster. Like I said, I've got some of this paper just sitting around, and it was a really good opportunity to start using some of it up. So something that you can easily do. And then they're also really low cost. So like I said, you might already have the supplies. And if you don't, like, let's say you're only wanting to make a handful of gifts, or you only want to give them to your table mates at a retreat, and that's 6 or 8 people. Because you can essentially use paper that you can cut down, you would only need to buy 3 or 4 sheets of paper, for example. So I've got, one of the things I've got here is this small pack of paper that I supposedly was $5.99. I totally bought it when it was on some sale. And I would get 2 strips of paper out of each sheet. And if all I really needed was 3 or 4 sheets of paper in order to make 6 or 8 of these little triangles, definitely something that you can also buy individually. Or like I said, honestly, you could just use plain white paper if you wanted to from the printer, and you could draw on it, you could paint on it, you could put stickers on it. So think about what is already in your house, in your stash, and what you can use to make it something special. So that is one thing I really like. It's low cost. And then the last thing is, because it is so adaptable, you can kind of put whatever you want inside of it. And so just a couple of ideas. If you are, for example, a cross stitcher, you could put in a skein of floss, whether it is DMC or fancy floss or something else that you would like. You could put things up in that are already bobbinated, for example. You could put in some floss drops. You could put in some ring bling. Probably you'd need to have a little smaller ring there. You could put in something that is intended to go on the outside of a project bag, or you could make some kind of little treat. This was something that I got from another retreat that a fellow stitcher made for us. It's just a piece of flannel with some felt inside that holds needles, and it's just cut pinking shears and then stitched down the side. So that is definitely something that you could do. You could also put in finishing supplies. So for example, you could put in a selection of buttons. You could put in a selection of beads. You could put in pins and little things. Some of these are gifts that I've gotten from others at other retreats. A lot of us like to put the date that we finished the project in, and so you could give away a handful of these for others. If you were maybe a sewist or a quilter, you could give away some pearl cotton so somebody could do some slow stitching or some big stitching. You could give away some of the wonder clips that we all love because those are so versatile. You could give away a piece of fabric that somebody could use for binding. You could give a little chalk pen, because we always definitely use those chalk pens. Maybe some little stickers that, or tags to let somebody know that this was homemade and make it a little more special there. One other things that I really like to do is as I am using up fabric, I tend to cut things down into 2.5-inch squares because I like to do a lot of patchwork work. And so you could give somebody a selection of some cute fabrics and they could make their own patchwork project as well. You could also give away sewing or stitching or quilting supplies. So a tomato for pins. You could give away the little holders that will keep your fabric off the side of your hoop. These are like the cutest and most versatile little pairs of scissors. These are a big thing people are giving away right now. Would definitely fit inside a little triangle. You could also give away some wax for your thread, needles. These are a lot of just very popular gifts that people like to give away. Maybe you want to give away some washi tape, whether that's for somebody who is a journaler or a planner, or just these are really great when you're stitching so that you can be kind of having a guide for when you're doing your stitching. Stamps. Oh, if you're into natural dyeing, for example, you could give somebody some dried flowers that they could use for dyeing fabric or yarn or anything like that as well. So very versatile, and you can make it again as big or as small as you want. So the ideas are endless in terms of what you want to put inside your triangle, how big you want to make them, what theme you want to give them, anything like that. So it's definitely just one of those quick and easy stash busters that you can use. And it just kind of brightens it up and makes it a little bit more cheerful, and it makes the whole thing homemade too in some ways too. So those are just a couple of the reasons that I think this is a fun little idea that I am definitely hoping to use at one of my upcoming retreats this year. I will say a couple of things that I learned from making my Christmas crackers the first time. One is make sure that you have the right glue to work with the paper that you are using. The paper that I have, I tend to buy fairly heavyweight paper because I often am turning them into floss drops. And what I learned is the glue that I tried, which was kind of this glue stick glue, was really not strong enough to hold the paper together while it was drying. The paper crimper definitely helped, but I wound up going with my good Aleene's glue, really to make sure I got a firm hold. My glue stick was perfectly fine for sort of the regular weight printer paper. But I would say you want to make sure that you have something that is strong enough that will hold the paper together while it is going through that drying process. Definitely a lesson learned. And the other thing I would say is, and this is probably the biggest drawback, is, they're cute and they can rest on their side when it is a complete triangle, but when you rip one of the edges off in order to open it up and see it, then it isn't as stable anymore and there's no way to reseal it, right? So one thing that you have to think about is how are people going to carry away the things that you've given them? If you're putting in loose buttons and things like that, just being mindful of the fact that it's not resealable in a way. So in many cases, people often have bags and purses and other things, and they can toss your item in there as well. But particularly if you're putting in small, loose items, something that is potentially breakable, just do keep in mind that there is that one downside. And it is, I think, the biggest downside of these is no way to reseal them, and they're not quite as stable when you're using them. But still, I think you can overcome those things, and there are other ways that people can kind of keep hold of the items that you have given them. So that's it. That is just a quick rundown on this cute little idea for triangle treats and how you can potentially use them in an upcoming gift exchange, a retreat, or just a fun way to package up a couple of little fun things that you're planning to give to a crafter friend. So if this video was helpful, if you enjoyed it, I do hope you'll consider giving it a like, leaving me a comment, let me know in the comments what else you could do with these. You don't have to use them as Christmas crackers. You don't have to use them for crafting retreats. What else could you put inside of one of these candy. You could definitely put candy in one of these. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, everybody. Bye.